you are going to get out of this prep what you put into this prep. It's as simple as that. Performance is a function of preparation. If you prepare thoroughly, you'll do really well. If you don't prepare thoroughly, you'll get your butt kicked. If you want your butt kicked, don't pay attention, don't ask questions, don't learn. And if you do want to do well, now's the time to lock in and see how you're doing so far. So let's just take a look at numbers 1 through 7. And for some reason, don't know why, I had a little bit of a brain cramp and didn't put a number 4, which is okay for you guys because that means you would get, if that's the way it is on the test, number 4 will be free. So take a look. Are there any of these that you want to go over?
Number 3.
Number 3. Okay. I think 3 is one of the most challenging ones up there, so it's a really good question to ask about. Hey. Okay. You have to know your laws of exponents. You need to know your order of operations, PEMDAS, if you will. Right? So as I take a look at number 3, what I notice is first it says 19 to the 0. What's anything to the 0 power? Everybody? 1. So that's where this 1 comes from. A negative exponent. So that's where the 1 over, and then it becomes 2 to the positive 2. What is 2 squared? 4, right? 2 squared means 2 times 2. So that's 1 over 4. 1 plus 1 over 4 is 1 1/4.
Would it be negative?
No, there's no negatives. A negative exponent never, ever, ever, Joe, head in the game. A negative exponent never, ever, ever means you put a negative in the answer. It means you put a reciprocal. That's why we go, a negative exponent, and you all say reciprocal. Okay. Anything else, numbers 1 through 7? All right. Let's take a look at numbers 8 through 10. 8 through 10. Let me scroll it up a little bit here. And I'll go over any of those you want to go over. Okay. You know, God bless. If I was a parent, and I was listening to this video on the correct answers, I'd be saying, I hope that's not my kid talking. Because I'm telling you, it's like if I was to write a book on how to get a grade that's going to disappoint you. Ava, one chapter would be titled How to Doodle. Another chapter would be titled How to Talk Every Time the Teacher Tries to Breathe, or Slide the Screen Up a Little Bit. Now, I understand that there's temptation all over the place to talk a little bit to Michael, be distracted by things and so on and so forth. I get that. But we're not little kids anymore, right? We're not 5 years old. At some point you gotta say, okay, yeah, I wanna do that, but I have to push past it. And I have to find a way to get in here and to focus. Now, number 8 is a challenging question. But before we talk about number 8, let's go over here and do this. Ready? 3n plus 3 equals 12. In fact, let's make it 15. That'll be better. How would I solve this? What's my first step? Everybody. Subtract 3. Good. Die. 3n equals 12. God bless. Well, let's go over here. And the only difference between the one in green that I just did and this one that's number 8, God bless. On number 8, it says 3v. But I can still subtract the 3b, which I do right here and right here. But the thing of it is, h squared minus 3v doesn't have a number answer. You can't say, well, that's 7, that's 22, that's 4.5. You just leave it what it is, which is h squared minus 3v. That's what it says right there, h squared minus 3v. Now, the next step over here in green would be to divide by 3. So over here, it's divide by k. And that's how I get my really weird looking answer, h squared minus 3v over k. So it's not difficult, it's weird. But if you gave me a test full of weird questions that weren't difficult, I'd be okay with that. All right, anything 9, 10, 11, 12?
No.
11. Okay, look, everything, as soon as they start talking about of the line, we start thinking y equals mx plus b. What does m stand for, everybody? What does b stand for? So what's the slope of this line? What number's in front of that x, even though we don't bother to write it? Normally it'd be 1, but in this case there's a negative in front, so it's negative 1. And that's why the slope is negative 1. Okay? Any questions? All right. Let's go to the next one, the next page, and see what we can come
Oh,
up
then
with.
I said 12.
Well, now the y-intercept's the number at the end. So the number at the end is in number 12, it's 99. Okay? All right, so, next one. When solving the equation 2/3 times 2x minus 1 plus 2 1/3 equals 7 plus 1/2 x, which step can you not possibly do first? The reason it's choice B is you have to distribute that 2/3 before you can do anything with that 2x, because the 2x is in parentheses. If the 2x was not in parentheses, then you could do it. Okay? All right, next up. Okay? Now, as far as doing these slopes go, there are two ways to do these questions with slope. One way would be to find wherever there's a coordinate graph on your paper, write extremely lightly, don't press hard, and just use it as like scrap paper. And here's negative 2, 0. And here is 4, 12. And then I just have to count rise over run to get my slope. So that's one way to do it. If you don't like the slope formula, by all means, do it that way. And to be honest with you, I don't think the test is going to take that long. I think you got done pretty quickly today. So I would probably do it both ways and make sure I came up with the same answer both ways so I knew I got it right. As far as the formula goes, slope formula says that the slope is equal to the y from the second point minus the y from the first over x from the second minus x from the first. You'll notice this says second, this says first. That means the y from the second is 12, the y from the first is 0, so 12 minus 0. The x from here is 4, and that's negative 2. So I get 12 over 6, which reduces to 2.
Why don't we don't simplify?
I would accept it.
You would accept it?
Yeah, I would, definitely. Okay, any other questions on 15 or 16?
No.
All right, so now we get to the next step of the way, and we're getting now into part 2, or answers where you have to show will work.
See if I got 17.
Here are 17A and 17B. You guys are very good at equations. I listened to Matt saying, well, I keep getting this decimal answer. I would strongly suggest that you leave the answer as a fraction like I did.
What?
Look at the answer to 17A. Not every answer works out to be perfect all the time. So just leave it 12 over 7. Don't try to make it into a decimal, because
Do that.
often you can make a mistake when you try to convert it into a decimal. So, you know, one that I see a lot is kids, this works out to be like, I don't know, it's 1 5/7, which is, I guess,
1.7.
somewhere around 1.7, but it's not exactly
Yes.
1.7.
Yeah.
So what happens is,
1.7 blank.
kids, right, but kids will go 1.7 on their paper, and you're wrong.
You gotta add like the top.
You have to go the whole decimal. And if it repeats, you have to put the repeating symbol. So don't convert to a decimal. Just leave it as a fraction, because the fraction's fully correct. And if you get the decimal correct, you don't get any more points. But there's a pretty good chance you'll get the decimal wrong, so then you could just end up going down in points, and we don't want that to happen, obviously.
Is this only for your?
Okay, number 18. First question, I think, is pretty straightforward. 2 less than twice a number. There's only one number in this whole problem. So I could just write 2n minus 2 is 34, and then I solve, I get n is 18. Okay, any questions? I think that one's pretty easy. Now, the next one is a little bit more challenging, because the thing you have to pick up on, remember the strategy that we said to you the other day, Michael? I want to see every person underlining the important things. One number is one more than 3 times a number. Sum, 47, find both numbers. If you see that, it talks about one number and another number. As soon as you see that, you need this setup right here. And a lot of times kids just write 3x plus 1 equals, instead of x plus 3x plus 1 equals. And that's because they lose track of that second number. So as soon as you read about 2 numbers, and you know you're going to have one on your test, because you know that your pre-tests look exactly like the tests. So you have to be prepared for this setup where you write one number, other number. The first number is always x. The other number is one more than, last shall be first, first shall be last, 3 times a number, 3x plus 1. So here's my one number, here's my other number. It says over here, sum, so I'm adding. And then I get an equation, and look, another ugly one. Doesn't work out to a perfect answer, but that happens sometimes. So as I work it through, I get 11.5, and then to get the other number, because it says find both numbers, 3 times 11.5 plus 1 is 35.5.
Do we put that into a fraction?
Just leave, you can leave it like that, or if you wanted, you could go to a fraction. Either way.
Okay.
All right? And by the way, what I would recommend for every one of you, next period, I'm going to take these answers and I'm going to put them up on to the website. So if you're struggling with this, if there's 3 or 4 of these questions giving you a hard time, I suggest you try them again at home and see if you can get them right. All right, so now, noise. Hey. Now, the next one, we get into graphing. This is the stuff that's newer on this particular test. Ready? Graph each of these lines. Y equals 1/3 x plus 5. Slope is 1/3. Y-intercept is 5. Begin at 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Move up 1 over 3. And I'm running out of room there, so I went this way, and then I draw my line. Over here, y equals negative x plus 3. What is the slope? It's the number in front of the x. What's the slope, everybody? Negative. And what's the y-intercept? 3. So I begin at 3, down 1 over 1, and there's my line being formed. There's one other one. You guys are going to have to check that out tonight. See what that correct answer is.